Well. And welcome to the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast, number 26, live but recorded from the Go Spurs Go Memes Network studio. I am your host, Ray. In studio, I am joined by Frank and Buddy. So I guess today, gentlemen, it's the Three Amigos episode. It's just us three today. Hope you guys have had a wonderful week. What a freaking week. It was pretty crazy with the trade deadline kind of going on, right, Buddy? Didn't we feel like we should have taken off on Thursday?
That's what I was telling you. I was like, I should have taken a day off of all the days that I did not.
My phone was going nuts. I just had so much stuff going on. I did my best to try to keep everybody updated with everything that was happening. But, you know, to be honest, it was kind of
lackluster.
Yeah, it really was. Like, there wasn't really anything big. I mean, I think there was potential for big things to happen, but it just didn't kind of happen.
I think they were teasing us like the whole week, and then they just let us down like for just ridiculously.
Well, yeah, and I also think too, I mean, if you really think about the big picture, this summer is going to be huge when it comes to free agency. The cap is going up. I believe they're estimating the cap for next year to go up to $92 million. So there are going to be some really major moves this year. So a lot of the moves that we saw will actually help some teams open up cap space to kind of go after those big marquee.
That seems to be what was the deal. Right?
Yeah, that kind of seemed mostly of what was going on there. But other than that, I had a pretty good week. I had to take off today because I'm moving, so I've been packing, doing all sorts of stuff. Cool. Went to Magnolia Pancake House this morning, and I got to freaking brag about this stuff because what I had today was freaking amazing.
Which one?
So I had their banana bread French toast.
Oh my god!
So they make their own banana bread.
Right.
Then they freaking French toast it.
Of course.
And then they put fresh fruit on top of it. Oh my God!
I can't believe I haven't never seen that. I've been there several times. I've never seen that.
Oh, I want to violate that toast. Like it was that delicious.
Didn't you?
Oh my God!
So are they open later now? Because I see cars parked there like after 3.
They have lunch now.
Do they now?
Well, I thought they were open till like 3 o'clock.
Well, I figured you would show up at 8 to eat lunch. I mean, because you're always waiting that whole time.
Yeah, no. They have this. Like,
actually, we only waited about 15 minutes for
really?
Oh yeah, their efficiency is much better now. Remember 2 hours? Yeah. It took 2 hours to get in that place, no matter what. Now it's like 15 minutes because they have a lot of tables now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so good stuff. If you have a chance, head over to Magnolia Pancake House because that stuff was freaking amazing. So, gentlemen, let's kind of talk about what's going on today in the news.
I had to dust off the typewriter. What can I say?
It just makes me laugh when it takes somebody a while to hit the typewriter going there. So not much kind of happened today, just a couple of points here and there. And after this, when we come back, we'll actually go into a trade discussion. We'll kind of talk about everything that's happened and kind of give some grades out if Buddy and I can. So what happened today? So the Celtics bought out David Lee. Supposedly he has been picked up by the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, he has to clear waivers. But as soon as that's done, he's going to sign with the Mavs. The Thunder are interested in Anderson Varejao when Portland's going to waive him. The even more interesting thing about the Thunder being interested in him is that this evening it was revealed that the Spurs are also interested in him, as are the Golden State Warriors and the Mavericks. So I'm really curious why everybody... I'm like, why is everybody...
Did everybody know that Shai Bob wasn't all that great?
I know. Like, I mean, his defense was okay, but offensively, he's not a powerhouse or anything.
Maybe he's just like one of these like experienced big men that they figure is going to do well for them. Like, for instance, each team is interesting, right? So, like, you think about the Thunder, right? So you got the Thunder who have Ibaka, you have Cantor, and then you have Adams, right? Oh, and then you got Collison, who's a trash can.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a lot of big men already, right? So you ask yourself, what exactly would he fit into the Thunder picture, right? So I don't know about that. The Warriors could use more big men, and especially if they're worried about Ezeli. Yes. So they could use him more for that. So that I could see that happening, right?
That kind of makes sense there.
The Spurs, maybe they're not sold in the Marjanovic thing. That would be the only thing.
Well, what I would assume is if they signed Varejao, what would happen is he'd have to take vet minimum.
Right.
And we're going to have to clear somebody up on our roster. So
I can already think of one.
Exactly. I'm assuming that would be Bonner, that you get rid of Bonner. Easy. Because, I mean, Butler's been playing really well the last couple of games.
And they're using him.
And they're using him more. So he's really the only person I can assume is what they're getting. Or maybe they got rid of Ray McCallum, because really McCallum isn't really in the rotation. I mean, it's a total guess there. I don't know.
I'd say if you get rid of Bonner, it's easy. I mean, you know, I don't. Man, I was the first pick him up vet minimum.
I mean, low risk, why not?
Low risk. Exactly. You know, he has experience. You know, you probably could get a couple good hustle things out of him, and you're not going to use him that much. You know, he's not going to crack the rotation constantly. You know?
Exactly.
I don't see it as a big risk for us, though.
I don't know. What I thought was really interesting is that they interviewed Griffin, who is the GM at Cleveland today. and they asked him about the whole Varejao thing, and he was kind of talking about having to tell Varejao that he's been traded, and Varejao was not happy. He was really pissed that he had been traded. And I just thought that was interesting because usually you don't hear about that. Like, once a trade's made, you don't hear the former team speak out about how the player felt about it. So I thought that was really interesting that he was asked and Griffin responded to that.
That is sort of strange. I mean, it might be like maybe like a chess game where like maybe they wanted to paint him a certain way. I told you this earlier, and I sort of have this like fleeting suspicion. Although you're saying to me that this doesn't happen, but I could have sworn this happened a couple of years ago, where they release him or they trade him, and then the team releases him, and then he comes back.
He can't. It's against the rules.
But didn't this happen a couple of years ago?
I don't think so, unless I'm wrong. But
Frank,
I'm pretty positive.
I can't think of anything.
I'm trying to remember this.
If so, maybe
positive,
the 80s? I don't know.
I'm pretty
80s,
sure
90s?
that once a team waives him, because remember what I was telling you, buddy? So, like, Cleveland waives Varejao.
Right.
So if Portland waives him, Portland and Cleveland still have to pay him out of the contract. And then I think it's something like, I forget the numbers that I gave you, but I believe Portland's going to drop like $3 million on him. Cleveland's going to pay a couple $100,000 for him. But then the Blazers have to pay him another 1.5 or 2 million over 5 years.
And I guess that's what the part I don't understand why they would want to release him then at that point, right? Because if you're considering the fact the Blazers could use him too.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have a big amount of big guys that are capable per se. I mean, you have Leonard's good. Myers Leonard's really good.
Yeah.
And then you have Plumlee, but Plumlee's just so inconsistent.
He really is.
And so you figure they could use him. And if you're going to be paying him that much money over the span of 5 years or even 3 years, then why not just keep him? I mean, I just don't understand why you'd want to drop him. I mean, other than just saving cap space?
I'm assuming it's just to save cap space, but I mean, a lot of teams do
Portland's
this.
Portland's going to get anybody? That's
I mean, but it's going to happen because, okay, here's another team that waived two people today. So the Nuggets waived out J.J. Hickson and Steve Novak. Yeah. Now, supposedly, Dwayne Wade and the Heat are trying to woo Novak to go to South Beach. Why? I don't know. I don't know if that'd be a great pickup for them. I haven't heard anybody going after J.J. Hickson, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Some other notable possible buyouts. I think the big one is Joe Johnson out of Brooklyn. And supposedly, if Brooklyn buys him out, if you kind of looked at all the reporting I was doing this past week, supposedly Johnson hasn't had any word with Brooklyn about being bought out, but I think that might change with Sean Marks being there. That they might go ahead and buy him out. So if he gets bought out, Cleveland's going to swoop in and take him.
God, for vet minimum. Think about that. Joe Johnson was one of the top paid, if not the most top paid player in the league.
Oh, yeah. He had a crazy contract.
And then he's already in the span of 3 or 4 years going to be going to a vet minimum.
Vet minimum.
How crazy is that?
Exactly. I mean, but would you pay more for him?
No, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would pay a little bit more than vet minimum for Joe Johnson. I mean, Joe Johnson is a scorer.
Well, and
I just don't think he does a lot for you. That's the thing.
Well, and Buddy and I are just assuming that it would be a vet minimum because Cleveland is already over the cap. They're way into the luxury tax. So basically, if they do have a roster spot left, which I think they do now with Varejao being out,
right.
They will actually have to take him at a vet minimum. That's all they can afford to do.
That's just so crazy.
Yeah,
that's a good pickup for them, though.
I think that's a really good pickup for them. Let's see what else is going on. So, of course, we know, again, Kawhi is out tonight. Mm-hmm. Second game that he's out with a tightness in his calf. So, supposedly, this has been bothering him since the Miami game. So, Pop kept him out last night. He had an MRI done. Nothing's torn, but just to be safe, Pop kept him out again, which is, Spurs are doing pretty well right now. I think we're up at 11 at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need them tonight. I mean, but the thing is, you look at long term, and you're like,
long term is the thing. Like,
calf injuries are.
Here's the thing too: was we talked about the Spurs and injuries recently, and was saying like we got to do the sana colita de rana because everyone's just kind of getting bumps and bruises there. So Timmy had been out for a while with his knees. Thank goodness he's back now. Manu's still going to be out for a little while with his Ginobili's being injured, and then of course we have Bonner as well that also has a calf issue. Don't know when he's going to get back. They really haven't said anything about Bonner's injury, but I think it's just because people really don't care.
You read my mind.
I was like, people don't care. But of course, it's Kawhi. That's who people are concerned with. That's who people want to know about. So Kawhi was out tonight. And then, like I said earlier, the bigger news for Spurs fans was that the Spurs may be looking at Anderson Varejao. So we will see what happens. But that's the news, and we will be back to discuss trades in just a bit. And we're back, and it's time to talk trade deadline. So on Thursday, it was the NBA's trade deadline. A lot of crazy stuff was going on. A lot of things, I would say crazy things were kind of being negotiated, but they didn't really happen. So we're going to go through pretty much everything that did happen. We'll kind of talk about some of the rumors. And I also kind of want to bring up the difference in reporting things between like national media and social media, because there was just a lot of crazy things that people were trying to run with that were absolute bullshit. And so I kind of want to discuss that for a little bit if we can. So I think the big thing that happened Thursday morning was that the Brooklyn Nets announced that Sean Marks was going to be the brand new GM. So he signed a four-year deal with the Nets, which is crazy because
they're contenders now.
No, no,
Wrong.
No, not anytime soon. I don't think. But what was really interesting is that a lot of the info that I was getting about this whole thing was that Marks really didn't want to go. The Spurs didn't want him to go either. So there was a lot of negotiating. So it kind of went from Marks is leaning towards saying no to Brooklyn came back. So then basically what happened is Brooklyn came back, offered him more money, and made him even more promises about the job. And so eventually that's why Marks went ahead and signed with them. So what do you think about that, buddy? What do you think about him going to Brooklyn?
I think it's a good move for him. You figure the fact that, Marks was going to eventually be a GM somewhere anyways, right?
Yep.
He was talked well around the league, and he was wanted by him, even though Prokhorov was like, well, I don't even know who this guy is, the owner. He actually came on the media and said, oh, who's this guy that we're interviewing? I don't even know who he is. I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. But I think it's a good move for them. And again, it goes back to the Spurs culture where they're trying to spread that around the league. A lot of these teams are envious of what we have.
Oh, they're completely envious. They want a piece of that pie.
And they wanted that foundation is what it is. And the only way that you have a good foundation is by having a good leader at first, right?
Yep.
So if you figure like somebody like Marks, who's pretty much untainted, he has his own mind about how things are going, but he has the foundation from the Spurs, it's actually a good pick-up for them. But, however, let's just see if the owner gets in the way. Let's see if the Nets do the net things. That's the thing. That's the thing you worry about. So, for instance, this move, for instance, right? You've got him in there, right? And he gets hired the day of the trade deadline. So what exactly did they expect him to do? Like when he steps into his role, he has 6 hours to basically,
literally,
okay, let's get something going for our team so we can get back into this. First of all, they're one of the worst teams in the league.
Right.
Number two, what is he going to do on the last day? He has to make relationships. Trades are about relationships, making people trust you, making like moves. It takes days to make these things. We make it seem easy.
It's so funny you point that out because I laughed so hard this afternoon because I think it was, what's his name, Zach Lowe. He had kind of made a tweet about, I think it was him. He made a tweet about Sean Marks, and he said, wait a minute, Sean Marks has been GM for about 24 hours, and he hasn't waived Andrea Bargnani yet. And he goes, I don't think I like this Marks guy. And that really made me laugh. It made me laugh so hard because just like you said, he just came into the job. Everybody's waiting to see what he's going to do. Another interesting thing that I thought was pretty cool, and it kind of is Spursian, I guess you would say, is that Mark says that he is really hoping to build his team from international players.
And they already have a good
they have
foothold
some,
in that.
yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting once the draft starts coming around. I'm assuming that Bargnani is going to be waived. I'm assuming Joe Johnson, the same thing's going to happen there. So a couple of moves are going to happen with Brooklyn, then we'll see what the team actually becomes. But I'm saying, like, you're going to have to give Marks at least, 3-4 years before you really start to see the Nets.
I don't even know where they stand in draft picks at this point. And I think they're pretty bad on the draft pick thing because I think they traded away
I think they've given some up. I really don't know off the top of my head.
Sure. But I mean, so you need to be able to have picks to be able to build from, right? And then he's going to have to be able to take whatever assets that they have and be able to work them around to see what kind of team he actually wants. I mean, ultimately, and it's just like Frank was just saying, right? Ultimately, every team is trying to be the Warriors and the Spurs, or beat the Warriors and the Spurs, right? I mean, the Cavs, whatever. And the thing is that how is it that you construct a team that can beat our systems, right? And that's what, I mean, do they have that parts? I mean, you think about the parts that they have. They have Lopez, which is a good center.
He's
quality,
great,
quality center. You have Jared Jack, who's, he's occasionally good, but he's an okay point guard. He's stable, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Johnson's not bad. I mean,
No,
you
he's
could
not.
you could do worse. You could do a lot worse than Joe Johnson. I mean, let's just be honest, right? Bargnani, you need to throw him in a trash can.
Yeah, exactly. Just throw him away.
Trash can
That's
him
all that
away.
needs to happen there. But here's the thing too, though, is I kind of feel that Brooklyn is so far away from even competing with the Warriors and Spurs that it's not even about trying to become the Warriors or the Spurs. What I think that the franchise needs is that it needs to be a franchise that thrives. And so they want to fill people. They want people to fill the seats,
Right.
Because right now you look at a Nets game and it's pretty freaking
It's
empty.
bare.
I mean, Jay-Z doesn't even go to the games anymore. I mean, Drake isn't even at the games. You know what I mean? Like, so I think what they need is that they need to make some moves, win some games, grow the fan base, get people excited about Nets basketball. Once they hit that milestone, then it's going to be like, okay, now we got butts in the seats. Now let's start competing with the Eastern Conference teams. Let's compete with the Heat. Let's compete with the Raptors. Let's compete with the Cavs eventually. And then if you're able to do that, then it becomes, okay, our goal now is to compete with the Warriors, the Spurs, and the Thunder.
Well, I mean, is that what's going to happen, though?
Right.
'Cause
I
basically
mean, you don't know.
The Nets are the Browns of the
It really is.
the NFL up there. But
And I
in
mean,
the
and
end-
here's the thing too: is that Marks could be totally set up to fail.
Yeah, and that's-
completely
well,
set up
I mean,
to fail.
come on. When you're talking about like 24 hours and you only got a few hours just to set up your team.
Yep.
I mean, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And it's like, what?
I'm glad you said that too, Frank, because what it made me think was that I don't even think that right now the concern is the players and who's on that roster. The big thing for Marks now is to go after a coach, which brings me to my next point. The number one target for the Nets is going to be Ettore Messina, which is the assistant coach from the Spurs. He's going to be their number one target. Now, of course, I kind of mentioned that on Go Spurs Go memes that, Messina is a leading candidate for that job. And a lot of people are like, well, no, there's no way that's going to happen. He's going to succeed Pop. He's going to take over when Pop's gone, whatever. And I go, you know what? This is the NBA. This is business. Yeah, that may be the idea is that when Pop retires, Messina takes over. But if Messina gets an opportunity to become a head coach and they give him that head coach salary, I would think that he would take it.
And he's older. I mean, he's not going to wait around and just wait to come up in the ranks or anything like that. I mean, think about how many assistants the Spurs have.
Well, how many times have we heard this before? It was Avery Johnson was going to be the heir apparent, for
Right.
the time.
No, thank God he wasn't.
Jesus, no.
He went to college.
God. I'm still amazed how that guy was a coach for that long.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, the funny thing is he's doing really well at Alabama.
Yeah.
Because he's the head coach there now. So, I mean, he's doing great for Avery Johnson there. But there is a chance that Messina can leave.
Right.
And that's why I was telling you the other day, buddy, that I was hearing, a little bit of rumors, and I'm not trying to start anything. I just kind of want to mention this.
You heard it here first, folks.
That Danny Ferry and Mike Brown have been hanging around with the Spurs a lot. And so with Marks going, maybe Messina goes, is that two openings that Ferry and Brown come back into? I don't know. It's possible.
Ferry
Why
did
not?
Ferry was successful here. Brown was
he was a
successful here.
GM already. Brown was fantastic here. But a big rumor concerning Mike Brown, though, is so Sacramento, which is just a complete trash can. I've said it last week. I think I've said it every single week that we've been on. They need to fire Vlade Divac. Like, the guy has no idea what in the world he's doing. He's completely running that franchise into the ground. So he decided that they were going to keep George Karl. Has a meeting with George Karl. Karl thinks he's going to be fired. And Vlade tells him, we got tons of problems, but we're going to solve this together.
Right.
So then Vlade turns around
and fires
one of his assistant coaches.
Oh,
but the thing that I thought was hilarious is that the reason why Vlade said that they were firing this guy is because the Kings' defense is so bad. So they fire, I think it's Wahlberg is what the guy's name was. Okay, Vance Wahlberg, I think it was. They fire Wahlberg, and then Divac comes around and says, we're firing him because our defense is bad. It's his fault, whatever. Karl comes out and says, I'm confused. I don't understand why he's fired because he had nothing to do with defense. Just like
man.
what? Ugh.
They're a complete mess.
They really are.
I don't want to get you. I don't want to keep you off track here. We were just talking about the Nets.
I'm already off on a tangent, buddy. So let's just keep talking.
Well, we're going to go back to the Nets real quick. I was just going to talk about this, right? So the thing about the Nets, right? And I think that you're right about what you were saying about that they need to start small.
Yep.
Get people in the seats, get them excited about trying to compete with the Eastern Conference first, and then work from there, right?
Yep.
Here's the thing. We're running into this thing where everybody wants quick results, though.
Oh, exactly.
And I think this is where the
Yakov
problem.
Smirnoff, the owner, is that way. he wants. He's like Jerry Jones, so Smirnoff is not going to wait for Marks to Yeah, it's Smirnoff now, vodka. He's not going to wait for Marks to turn something around. So I kind of feel like Marks is being set up to fail.
And that's the thing.
And that's the thing. Because Yakov wants to win now. He wants to make more money. He's from Russia. I mean, in Russia, to make money, you kill people, you throw them in the back of a trunk and into the river. I'm not saying that he's affiliated with the mob or anything.
No, absolutely not.
No.
We're just saying.
We're just saying it makes sense.
We're just asking questions. The Glenn Beck approach.
So, I don't think that he's going to wait. He's going to want results right away.
And that's why I'm saying that I don't know if that works.
Get to work, baby Buford.
Yeah, basically.
That's exactly what he's going to want. Anyways, okay, so let's go back to the trade deadline stuff. So let's kind of talk about the Houston Rockets. We got to bring this up because
are we gonna laugh at them
again,
first?
well, I know we can laugh all day. So
they are the last guy picked in a neighborhood ball game is what it's come down.
They really are like, that's another guy, Morley. Why haven't the Rockets gotten rid of Morley?
Because people liked Morley at first.
But they don't. They really do not like him.
Nobody likes him.
Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
That's what I just don't understand. Because as long as he is the GM, I think the Rockets are going to struggle when it comes to free agencies and stuff. I mean, you think about it. A couple years ago, they went all out to get Dwight Howard to come. They begged Dwight Howard to come. And now they were doing everything they could to get rid of him. And it makes you think about, when Carmelo Anthony was going around trying to be a free agent, the Rockets put up banners with Carmelo. They told Carmelo, we're going to win championships to get all this stuff. And Carmelo was like, hell no, I'm out, And
I'm going to the Knicks.
I'm going to the Knicks. When you get chosen, when they choose the Knicks over you, you aren't in a great spot. You really aren't in a good spot.
But it depends on, there's a lot to goes into that.
Oh, damn it, buddy. Just agree with me.
Okay, I agree with you. But there's a lot to come in. He wanted to be in New York, right?
Yeah, his wife wanted to be in New York.
This is why he didn't move.
Exactly. He suffered from Jason Kidd syndrome.
Yes.
I'm not going to move to a small market. Well, not that Houston's a small market, but I'm not going to go to a market that's not New York City.
What was that guy who at the Sacramento Kings? Doug Christie.
But Jersey and
the Doug Christie problem.
Exactly. Oh. So anyways. So Houston they were throwing Dwight Howard around everywhere, begging people. They were even to the point that this 8-time All-Star, they were saying, well, we'll take a first-round draft pick, maybe 2. Come on, anybody?
Really? Yeah.
And nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted. They went to Toronto. Toronto was like, no thanks. They tried with Boston. Boston was like, nope, I'm not doing it. Miami tried, but they were asking too much of Miami, so Miami was like, nope, I'm not going to take him either. So there was multiple places that they tried to get Dwight Howard in, and it just didn't work out with them. So Houston's going to get screwed because basically what's going to happen is at the end of this year, Dwight Howard is going to opt out of his contract. He's going to test the free market, which I think is going to be kind of surprising for him because I think his value has dropped tremendously.
Well, no, he's not useful in the league, and I've said this before. I mean, this league is smaller, it's faster. You don't need a big man up there.
But this isn't the 80s, isn't the early 90s.
Especially one that does not shoot the free throw
because he can be effective defensively. He needs to commit to be better defensively because when he was committed defensively, he was unstoppable in the middle.
He's uncoachable. And I think that's the problem.
And the problem is
uncoachable.
He's not committed to anything other than himself.
And
exactly.
That's disappointing. I mean, he was compared to David Robinson early in his career. Yeah. And it was amazing.
If you think about, think of Dwight Howard when he was in Orlando. Mm-hmm. He was great. He was Superman.
Wasn't he second in MVP voting?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did a really awesome job in Orlando. Then he went to the Lakers. And then that's when it really became, he started acting like trash. I think it had a lot to do with Kobe. And I kind of think it's the places that he's been. Then you put him in Houston, you put him with James Harden, another big ego. These two have ego issues with each other. But I mean, it's still, I've mentioned it before, the thing that blows my mind about Dwight Howard is that you had Kevin McHale, you had Yao Ming, you had Akeem Olajuwon, you had all these people teaching you all these moves, and you still are a freaking flaming trash can.
That's what that's the thing. I mean, he's just completely, and I don't know what, and a lot of it has to do with a lot of injuries too. He did have quite a share of injuries, right? I think injuries have limited him a lot. His shoulder injuries, all those kind of things, and so that plays a lot into it as well. But it goes back to how he is committed to be a good player and to actually take coaching and use it to be better. And he just doesn't do it.
No.
I mean, he just does what he wants to do when he wants to do it. But it's surprising that he's not the only person in the world that does this. But the thing is that he has such a high ceiling that it's sad to see something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the Rockets went to Cleveland and said, hey, we want to give you Dwight Howard. And the Cavs are like, no. I shouldn't say the Cavs. LeBron was like, no.
I mean, but think about his contract, though, too, right now. His contract is poison for a lot of people, right?
Well, yeah, because you would go up, yeah.
You would have lost a contract, but they would have gone over the luxury tax for this year.
And that's why I think Cleveland said no, is because they're already so far into the luxury tax. What's his name? Gilbert was probably like, oh, hell no, I ain't going to pay double for Dwight Howard.
And then Miami's the same way. Miami's one of the worst luxury tax. They would have been a bad place to go all around.
But that's why since you brought that up, I got to mention that about Miami. Miami went literally in 24 hours from paying high dollars, like $6 million in the luxury tax. After the trade deadline, they are no longer in the luxury tax paying any of that. So, like, that's Pat Riley, genius.
That was great manager.
Genius.
We'll give him
right there.
Yeah.
And one more thing about Dwight Howard that I want to mention is that, so Charlotte came around and said, we want Dwight Howard, and we will give you Al Jefferson and Spencer Hawes. And Houston rejected it.
What the hell?
Why?
I didn't even see that one.
Why would you reject that?
Al Jefferson?
I'm telling you, Morley, poison.
God.
Telling you. I'm telling you.
So of all of the trades that you got, what did you see that was, the most interesting of all of them?
The most interesting. I thought that the whole Paul Gasol drama was very interesting to me because, one, I was surprised that the Bulls put him up. And here's the thing is that there was conflicting things, and I told you this. Like, first it was the Bulls are aggressively shopping Gasol. Then it became, the Bulls are letting it be known that he's available, but they're not really pushing that. They're not shopping him around. So I call that BS. I actually think the Bulls were really, really trying to get him out there. So you had Sacramento that was interested. You had the Knicks that were interested. There was a couple of other teams that were really interested in trying to get Gasol. But nothing ever happened. So it really makes me curious to see why didn't that happen with Chicago asking for a whole lot more.
I think, and this comes back to the thing, I think, of why we didn't see any blockbuster trades in reality. I think a lot of it had to do with a lot of these teams were asking way too much for what they wanted to get back in return.
Oh, yeah,
so, like,
definitely.
For David Lee, for instance, one that didn't move at all, right? This is another guy. I thought he could be a perfect tradable asset for somebody because somebody could use his contract and get off the books, right? But nobody wanted it because probably they all wanted something really big in return for that, right? So, like, that's why they probably didn't happen. The Dwight Howard thing, they probably wanted something really a lot from Boston, friends. I thought Boston was the logical choice for him to go to there, right? But they probably wanted one of the younger players, like, besides Lee. They would have taken Lee, but they could have got they probably would have taken Lee off their hands.
Yeah.
But they probably were going to want somebody like Marcus Smart, which they're not going to part with Marcus Smart.
Well, the big thing for Boston was that Howard didn't want to opt in to the contract. So he can opt out this summer, but he can also opt in. And what Boston wanted was for Howard to opt into the contract, and then they would have taken him. Like, Boston was totally down. Like, Ainge was making moves, even though nothing really happened. He was trying to get some talent on that roster, but it just didn't happen. But I understand Boston's whole thought was, hey, I'm not going to rent the guy for a couple of months.
Yeah, no, I mean,
because
it makes sense.
It makes total sense, especially with him not wanting to opt in.
Well, think about this, too. I mean, is kind of the lack of movement this season because the dominance of Golden State as well as the Spurs? I mean, you have to think about it. If you're changing up your roster, if you're getting new people, I mean, what's it going to do? I mean, is it a movement to, I don't know, compete with the West or these two teams?
Not
honestly,
necessarily.
That's what we're taking.
Depends on which team you're talking about.
A lot of the moves, especially this trade deadline, were to open up cap space for future things and also to kind of move draft picks around. I mean, what's really crazy is that with some of the draft picks that were kind of given and traded away this year, a lot of them, the teams don't get till like 2021, 2019. I mean, it's like freaking years down the line. But that's because there have been so many moves with all the recent lottery spots and everything, and that's why they're so far out now. But you think about it, a lot of teams are kind of screwing themselves because they aren't going to have those draft picks. But again, it's that mentality, we want to win now.
Right. And that's the thing, like we go with the mind. So, for instance, I'll talk about one of the ones that I thought was interesting, right? The one that I thought was super interesting, and I didn't think they lost all that much, was the Thunder getting Randy Foye from the Nuggets, right? So the the Thunder get Randy Foye from the Nuggets, right? They only give up DJ Augustine and Steve Novak and 2 second-round draft picks, right? Now, the second-round draft picks are crap, okay? They're already in the top of the league already, so they're going to get crap on that, right? So they're not going to get anything really much from that, right? Giving up Steve Novak, they never use Steve Novak, ever. I mean, they could use Steve Novak, but everybody hates his defense, and he's pretty much a one-trick pony, a three-point shooter, right? And DJ Augustine, again, he's just a one-trick pony. He's a great driver, but just not a great shooter, right? You get somebody in return like Randy Foye, who's a fantastic shooter. He's a fantastic shooter. However, he's a little bit injury-prone. The other thing is that you kind of wonder, well, then are they sort of done with their other guard that they start, Dion Waiters.
Waiters, there you go.
So you kind of wonder what exactly the move was for. It's probably to stabilize the backcourt to see if they don't end up working out with Waiters, that Foye could actually step in there and actually be a very good starter. And you're thinking about with Foye, Westbrook, in a backcourt.
I think it's a great move for them.
And they didn't really give up much in this.
Exactly. No, I totally do. The one move that I did like was the Orlando sending Channing Frye to Cleveland. I thought that was a really big pickup for the Cavs. And then the Cavs sent Varejao to Portland. And then Orlando's going to be getting some multiple draft picks because of that whole move. But I thought that was a really good pickup for Cleveland.
I'm glad that the Suns finally got rid of Markieff Morris, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. Did anybody see the hilarity that ensued with that? He's going out of the stadium after his stuff, and he's on his hoverboard, and he trips and he falls out of the stadium.
It couldn't happen to a better person.
So the Suns end up getting Chris Humphries, DeJuan Blair, and a protected first-round pick.
And then, I got to laugh at this because, we don't like DeJuan Blair. He got waived. He got waived. Immediately, he got waived.
Yeah, that was pretty sad.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not sad. Let's see what else. Okay, we got to talk about Memphis.
Yes.
Okay, so Lance Stevenson. Lance Stevenson is now part of the Memphis Grizzlies. The Clippers. What a freaking win for them. They got Jeff Green, which I think was a great pickup for them. But officially now you have Lance Stevenson, Matt Barnes. Who else? What else do we say? You got Zebo, of course, Zach Randolph, and there's who's the other guy?
I got it written down here. I've got it right.
We were talking about.
You got Birdman.
Oh yeah, Birdman. There you go.
And then they got PJ Hairston.
Okay, so basically what has happened is Memphis has become trash talk city.
Yep.
So I would just say get the popcorn, be ready.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Because a brawl is going to happen very, very soon.
It's going to be like dirty, too. It's going
to be like, oh, my God. Like, I can't wait to see the drama that's going to happen with that team. It's going to be like, watching Survivor or something.
Who survived the island.
Exactly. Jeez. What else? Oh, a real interesting trade that I kind of mentioned to you, buddy, that didn't happen was the Cavs are trying to send Kevin Love and Timothy Mozgov to Sacramento for DeMarcus Cousins.
God, that would have been such a great trade.
For Cleveland.
For Cleveland, it would have been fantastic for them.
Okay, so let's kind of talk about this because you and I talked about this.
Right.
And you were saying how does that do anything for Sacramento? And I was telling you that I actually kind of feel that Kevin Love would actually be a better player for Sacramento than DeMarcus Cousins was. And the reason why I feel that is because DeMarcus Cousins is a better basketball player than Kevin Love. He is. He can't be stopped. He's just a really, his skills are just absolutely amazing. Okay. But in Sacramento, he's uncoachable. They've burned bridges with him. That franchise hasn't done much for him. I don't think DeMarcus Cousins will ever be able to do anything for Sacramento. Mm-hmm. I actually think that if they would have done this deal, Kevin Love would have done more for the franchise than DeMarcus Cousins can do being there right now.
And I can agree with that.
Yeah, and I still feel when Cousins' contract comes up, he's out of Sacramento.
Yeah, I can see that totally. I mean, 'cause I think that you're right. I think the bridge is burned with him, and I think that it's interesting that comes up, and I just don't understand. And as I think we talked about this last week, is that I don't understand why Kevin Love is always a constant target for them when we've seen the new look Cavs, that the offense is running through Love a little bit now.
Oh yeah,
and so it's sort of strange that why he's always coming up in trade talks. I sort of think that this is some kind of like a ploy by the Cavs, and even maybe leaked out by LeBron's camp, that they just sort of want him gone.
I kind of think so too.
I don't really think that it's
LeBron's
really
crew
happens.
made such a big deal to get Kevin Love, but I don't think Kevin Love was the player they wanted. I actually think they wanted somebody else, but I think at the time Kevin Love was really the only all-star that they could actually get at the time. But I do kind of feel the same thing with you, is that his name is constantly being brought up. It's constantly being offered in deals. I mean, the Cavs were looking to trade Kevin Love, but they wanted an all-star to replace him. But the names never came out of who they were trying to get. That's the interesting thing about it. Like, who were they really trying to go after?
There's no specifics, and yet his name always comes up.
His name was always up there. So I do kind of feel that the Cavs want to get rid of him. But my thing, too, is then why'd you sign him to a long-term deal?
And that's what I don't understand. It's like if you're saying that, one, you got a long-term deal, two, you're running an offense through him. What exactly are you? What exactly are is there two minds going on here?
There probably is. There's probably two camps going on there. Like we know exactly what
But I don't run the team.
Is that exactly? It's all BS there. But yeah, you kind of have to feel for Kevin Love, but maybe somewhere else is a better situation for him than staying at Cleveland with LeBron.
The last little one that I thought was an interesting one, for me at least, Pistons getting Tobias Harris and the Magic getting Brandon Jennings and Ersan Ilyasova. Yep. Which I think that was a great pick.
I think the Pistons. I think
both of them got a good deal
I think the Pistons got a whole lot better doing that whole deal there. So
that was a good one.
Yeah, it really was. Okay, so I think we've kind of gone through everything that happened on trade day. Like I said, there was no blockbuster trades, no nothing. But the one thing I do kind of want to bring up is this whole difference between social media reporting and also like true news anchors. People that write for ESPN and the NBA, Yahoo.
People who have the tools on which to investigate
and the
check,
people
so
that get okay. So this past week, because it's trade deadline, we did hear some rumors concerning the Spurs, and the one that I kind of mentioned on Go Spurs Go memes was the whole Atlanta and the Spurs want to do a straight up trade for Al Horford for Danny Green. Now, that if you went to a trade checker, the trade would totally work out.
Yep.
And I think that was kind of giving people validity to that. But it was basically a bunch of bullshit. It was straight up lies. It was pure speculation. And then what ended up happening a little bit after that, about a day or two after that whole Horford Green crap, is that it started with the Spurs are going after Ty Lawson. Now, the Ty Lawson rumor was started by not Windhurst. What's his name? Oh my! I can't think of his name. From ESPN.
Haberstrom?
No. Geez, I can't believe I can't think of his name. Anyways, it was pure speculation on his part because he was just giving an opinion that the Spurs needed to get Ty Lawson to be able to compete with the Golden State Warriors. And people ran with it, and people started saying, oh, the Spurs are going to do something, make a move to try to get Ty Lawson. They're already in discussions with the Rockets, whatever. And so the reason why I bring up those two trade rumors is because there are people on social media that are looking for basically hits on their sites. Clickbait, exactly. So, and there are some, I'm not going to name them, but there are some Spurs groups and Spurs fan sites that were reporting it and even doing surveys and polls and asking people, hey, who would you rather have, Horford or Lawson? And the thing about it is, just because, again, let's go back to the point that just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it's true.
I thought it was.
Yeah. and it was driving me crazy to see people running with this stuff. And of course, on Go Spurs Go memes, I had already said, like, hey guys, it's BS, don't believe it. I'll tell you exactly where it came from. There's the whole Horford thing came from a website called like cloudsinthesky.com. Something stupid like that.
So make sure you trust Go Spurs Go memes.
Exactly. But because of that, people were running with it. And I mean, the whole Horford thing, KSAT even had it on there.
Right, and that's
saying,
the thing I was
like,
surprised
hey,
about.
and I was like, wait. Okay, I was like, this is really getting out of hand. And there are some credible Spurs sites, and they were saying, like, look, it's trade deadline. This is time where people are just going to start making stuff up and they're going to drop teams' names in just because it gets them hits and everything. And I just kind of wanted to bring that up because you kind of saw that a lot. Now, the promise that I make to you on Go Spurs Go memes is that I will never put up things that are false. I will never put up things that will just get you to like it, share it. That's not what we do at Go Spurs Go memes. Usually, I put things up when I've confirmed with sources, and it's multiple sources. I don't put things up unless I at least got 2 sources. And that's kind of what happened with the whole Horford thing, is that my phone was going nuts because there were all these things of coming up about the Horford and the, Danny Green, yada, yada, yada. So I started checking with my sources, and my sources let me know right away, like, it's a bunch of bullshit. And so I went on Go Spurs Go memes and said, guys, it's a bunch of BS. Don't believe it. Did the same thing with the Ty Lawson thing. And they were hearing it as much as I was. But it did make me feel better to know that, okay, I'm not the only one seeing it, but I got to confirm that this is not going to happen. And we're going to go through this again this coming summer because it's going to be a big free agency because, of course, everybody's going to want to know what's going on with Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. And here at Go Spurs Go Memes, we will report on it. We will tell you everything that's happening here. And, at times I'll even say, like, hey, guys, this is the speculation going on. This is the rumor going on. But I'll usually tell you, hey, it's a bunch of BS. This isn't happening. Update, But I do just want to bring that up. So just, if you're on the internet, don't believe everything that you see.
I would say that the reason that a lot of this happens, though, is because of the fact that we get into this thing that we want to make big things happen to the trade deadline, and we also want to target the people that are the bane of our existence at certain points of our life. So we've talked about this often. Green right now is the bane of our existence. Right now. I mean, as far as the Spurs concerned, this is. We're paying him a lot of money for not a below average job right now.
No return.
At this point. And not no return, just a below.
He's finding a shot again.
A below average return. I'm
below
not saying
average return.
Just for as much as you're paying it, right? So this tends to happen with people who people want gone. I mean, that's really what happens. Think about Howard, and this is why. It goes into your argument.
Yeah.
Everybody wants Howard gone. Everybody hates Howard.
Yes.
And so there's 50,000 teams that are speculating that they're going to get Howard because they'll take him anywhere. They'll send him to Russia if they could.
Yes.
I mean, but the thing is they just want him gone. The same thing with Cousins. The same thing with Love. The same thing with Lawson.
Yes.
All of these things just fit into this thing to where if people want them gone and they want them and they think that, oh, well, they'll magically fit into this other place.
Well, not just that, but
it just goes into a logic thing for them, but they don't really have any facts behind it all.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that I think these trade checkers have kind of spurred this as well.
And that has a lot to do with it.
Because what basically happens is somebody will go online on ESPN and be like, oh, trade checker, hey, I can trade Kawhi Leonard and get these 5 players. Holy crap, the Spurs are trading Kawhi Leonard. You know what I mean? Because they go on, their WordPress and just put it in there or their own little website. And then somebody finds it because they Google it. And then it just starts going and going and going and going. And then it starts getting, out on Twitter. It gets on Facebook, gets on Instagram. And then before you know it, it's gone viral. And that's basically what happens anytime a trade deadline or free agency opens up. All this crazy stuff starts to happen. And that's just the time that we live in. It's social media. I mean, the whole LeBron going back to Cleveland, that's a pretty good example there as well. Oh, yeah. Because... And I'll tell you this, there was this one guy out of Cleveland, I can't remember his name whatsoever, but before free agency actually opened, for weeks he had been saying LeBron is coming home. And people attacked him, people, were tweeting horrible stuff to him, whatever, and all he basically said was like, look, I'm in the know, I'm nobody special, but I can guarantee you right now LeBron is coming. And the dude gained thousands and thousands and thousands of followers because of it. Again, he got a lot of hate. He had, professionals kind of attacking him saying like, well, who are you? Who are your sources? Yada, yada, yada. And he never responded to him. He just said, I know what I know. And when free agency opens, I'm telling you right now, LeBron's coming home. And the dude was right. He was 100% right. And you had people that follow LeBron around like Brian Windhorst, that said like, no, he's not going to leave Miami. He's not going to leave Miami. And then when he left, Windhurst was like, no, LeBron told me he wanted to go back home, and so I can't stand him. I can't stand him. But it's him and the other guy, and I can't think of what the other guy's name is. Just driving me crazy. Maybe when we come back, I'll know what it is, and I'll blast him after that. Anyways, that's our discussion on trades. Me and the guys will be back in just a bit. And we're back, and it's time to talk Spurs. So before Buddy and I start going into the disaster that was the Clippers game yesterday, I do want to mention something. So in the previous segment, we were kind of talking about false rumors that people start on social media. So I kept saying Ty Lawson and the Spurs, that somebody was trying to start that crap, but actually it was Trevor Ariza. And the ESPN guy that had started that whole thing was Chris Broussard. But like I was saying, Broussard was just kind of giving his opinion on what he felt the Spurs needed to be able to compete with the Golden State Warriors. But people ran with it and made it seem like Broussard was saying, this is going to happen, Spurs are getting Ariza, blah, 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 whatever. So I wanted to correct myself on that. Secondly, I want to give some shout-outs to some Go Spurs Go memes fans because we've been getting some really great comments. And so I just kind of want to mention that some of them have to do with the podcast. Some of them have to do with the news and rumors reporting. So I'm just going to kind of give some shout-outs to some people. First off, on Twitter, I want to give a shout-out to Brenda, who is at bflowers522. She sent a message to us on Twitter saying, first time listening to the podcast. Y'all are so entertaining. I love it. Definitely subscribing. Keep it up. Go Spurs, go. Brenda, thank you so much for the feedback. We appreciate it. We love hearing back from everybody. So thank you so much for that. Let's see, on Go Spurs Go Memes, the Facebook page, got a shout out to Brian McElroy. He said, thanks for staying on top of this for us. You're so much more than a meme site. I come here now to verify any rumors I hear. No hype. Only facts. Thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate that. It is pretty difficult to stay on top of everything, but like I promise, I will never speculate. I will never come up with stuff just to try to get people to come to the website. Next, give a shout out to longtime Go Spurs Go Memes fan, John Larson. John put, can always count on you for updates and rumors. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for your support. And then I do have one more. Actually, I have two more. One is Johnny G. Sandoval. He wanted to know where the trade rumors were at, and I started talking to him on the Facebook page, and he had kind of said, during the summertime, you did an amazing job keeping us up to date with all the rumors. I just wanted to see where your threads were, and of course, so that everybody knows all the rumors, everything will now be at GoSpursGoMemes.com. I always put the link on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so you just hit the link. It'll take you to all the rumors and everything. It's just easier for me to do it on our website than trying to put everything up on Facebook. And then finally, my last shout out is going to go to Patrick Mann. Patrick made a comment on Go Spurs Go Meme saying, always my go-to source. You are the man. Thank you so much, Patrick. I appreciate that feedback. All right, buddy. Let's kind of talk about the Spurs, the disaster that was the Clippers game yesterday. I have to be honest, buddy. I was so disgusted with the game. I went to bed like at halftime.
God,
I couldn't watch anymore. It was so bad. Spurs only had 34, 36 points at halftime.
34.
Ugh, I just don't.
It was so bad.
I just don't get it, and I just.
Look, okay, look.
Go for it.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to preface this with first that I was going out of my mind during the game, right? And I was thinking to myself, okay, look, the effort level was just crap. I mean, it was just straight crap at the beginning, and I was just like, God, what is going on with this thing? Well, I come to find out that half the team went to Monty Williams' wife's funeral before the game.
And we'll talk about that at the end of this.
We'll talk about this, but jet lag, a lot of that thing could play a role in a lot of why they played badly, right? So, okay, I'll give them a little bit of a mulligan on this, but Chris Paul went to that thing too as well.
Yeah, and
Chris Paul just absolutely murdered us. He went for 28 points and 12 assists, and at one point or another, it was just Chris Paul,
right?
And it was just ridiculous. So
it was.
The thing that bothers me the most is just effort. I don't care if so much of the fact that if they lose games, no big deal.
Sure.
But if your effort level isn't there and you look like you're half asleep, there was the point at the fourth quarter where I almost jumped out of my skin, where Aldridge just let Paul run right by him, and he just didn't even put a hand up or nothing. He didn't do. I swear to you, and I wasn't exaggerating this. I can even show you the play if I can find the video on it. He straight up, because they were already going to lose at this point. He just straight up just didn't even do anything. He just let him pass by, let the layup like nothing. And I'm like, that is the kind of crap that just kills me.
Yeah, I mean, that whole game started. I mean, here's the thing: is like, yes, they had a week off. It was All-Star break. had a little bit of rust. But the Spurs did the exact same thing that they've been doing, is starting off very, very slow. They were missing shots, very, very cold. Defense rotations weren't that great. But here's the thing, though. The Clippers weren't hitting shots either. And they kept turning over the ball. And we could never take advantage of that. And I think that's what kind of did us in. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Spurs got within 5, but then after that, the Clippers just blew it out again.
Right. I mean, because they got David West back in there and toward the end of the third quarter, and David West just came in there very angry.
And I think West and Anderson were the only two that actually...
West hit a 3.
Yeah, I mean, they were the only two really hitting shots and doing really well. And I think Pop kind of mentioned the same thing at the end of the game. Aldridge, again, just had a horrible game. He was
3 for 12.
Yeah, I don't know
points.
what was going on there. He just looked absolutely horrible in that game. Let's see. Who else did I wanted to mention? I lost my track.
Parker was 6 for 13. He was keeping up with Paul for most of the thing, and then fourth quarter came around.
And that was it.
That was the end of Tony Parker. He was done.
It was completely done after that.
Danny Green was awful. He was straight awful. Yep. He was 4 points on 2 of 9 shooting. He was just straight ridiculous.
See, and we can't have that when Kawhi is out.
Yeah. I mean, and this is what we were talking about.
Yes.
We were talking about, okay, look, one of them's going to have to step up. I mean, it's going to have to be either Green or it's going to have to be Green.
Aldridge.
Or Green.
Yes.
No, because Aldridge has been stepping up, right?
Yeah.
Up until this game.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like, we said it had to be either Green or Aldridge.
Right.
One of the two has to step up and do something because we don't have Manu coming off the bench. I don't feel that Patty or Boris would be able to do anything significant. I knew David West would be able to come off the bench and maybe give that spark, hit those mid-range jumpers, which he did, but nobody else really did anything.
Nope.
And it just completely...
West was the only double-digit scorer off the bench with 12. He was 4 for 6 in 18 minutes. But then they had, like, for instance, and this is the things that is just crazy. It just drives you crazy. You have Butler in there for 20 minutes. He had 8 points. You had Mills in there. He only had 9 points on 4 of 10 shooting. So he didn't have a great shooting night. We shot 42% in the game, and I think that was being kind for them because
it really was because they were shooting horrible.
They were just
absolutely
awful.
horrible.
So and then they were getting upstaged by a guy named Cole Aldrich.
Always, but we say this all the time, buddy. The Spurs are known for making an unknown player look like a freaking all-star. It happens every time.
That was the all-star of the day.
It was the all-star of the day. But here's the even worse thing about this horrible loss they had yesterday. Blake Griffin wasn't even playing.
No, and that's the part that just kills me.
Okay, speaking of Blake Griffin, I have to bring this up because I was freaking dying laughing when it happened. So whoever runs the Los Angeles Clippers Twitter account, you are a freaking fool, and I hope they fire you. Because
I know what you're talking about.
Because the Clippers, for some reason, thought it was a great idea to take a picture of Blake Griffin and the equipment manager that he beat the hell out of, fist bumping each other.
Yeah.
Then they put #family. Okay, one, why you gotta bring up old shit?
Exactly.
Let that stuff die. Like, why are you bringing that back up? He beat the hell out of that guy.
I think he had a broken hand.
He had a broken hand. He's had to have 2 surgeries.
Requested.
Okay, and then not just that, but your team suspended him. You suspended him for 4 games when he comes back from that injury, yet you're going to have him fist bump the guy he beat up, and then you're going to put #family on there. Thank you, Internet, for just completely tearing them a new one on that one. But I'm like, I'm telling you that whoever that PR guy running that Twitter or gal running that Twitter account is no longer running that Twitter account because the backlash that they got was freaking hilarious.
You have to admit, though, if we didn't have people like this, we wouldn't have a lot of the funny things that we would see in the world. I have to say,
it's very
there's
true.
There's so many funny things that come from just silly, stupid things like that.
Okay, because, like, I'm pretty bad. Like, I can go right to the gutter very, very quickly. And I'm not one to really care about PR type things. I'll say what I want to say, whatever.
That's what you were born to do.
Exactly. So, but, if I was running that Twitter account, and I saw that picture, if I took that picture of them fist bumping, no way in hell would I say, hey, let's put this up. #family. #BFF.
It would have been better if he had done the fist bump and then the guy was like sort of shying away, like all scared.
Yeah, like he was afraid. He's like, don't hit me again.
It's like a whole Mummy Dearest type of episode.
There's #no wire hangers.
Exactly. #no wow.
When you wear no chanclas.
Jesus, yeah. I just thought that was a stupid thing on their part. Okay, so that was the Clippers game. Let's just stop talking about it. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Spurs.
So right now, Spurs and Lakers, fourth quarter, about 3 minutes left. 107-102 Spurs.
They're hanging on for
They're hanging on for dear life, yeah.
Well, they found another 3-pointer. I think he made all three.
Well, what, dude? What is going? Oh.
And we just threw the ball away. Jesus.
What? No, it was a foul.
They'll find themselves on this road.
We'll have this game. We have the game
like
playing.
Live commentary on one of our shows. You know,
we got to do that. Yeah, we'll do that one day.
Hilarious.
It probably would be.
Oh, you got the ball, and this guy in the black.
It would just basically be like 2 hours of Ray just dropping F bombs.
What the F is going on?
That's basically what our commentary would be. So let's kind of stick with the Spurs, but we're going to kind of go off a little bit. So I kind of want to talk about Monty Williams.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole thing that happened with his wife. Of course, a huge tragedy. But I think what it really showed is that it really showed what I'm going to call it a fraternity of what the NBA is. And when tragedy strikes, it really affects everybody. The one thing I will say is that Monty Williams is probably a bigger man than I would ever be if I had to go through that. And obviously he made it very well known that it was his faith that is getting him through everything. So great for him. But, to be able to stand up there, emotionally he's probably completely shattered. But to be up there, be so positive and to deliver such a message that it was very overwhelming for everyone else. And I couldn't get over, seeing him up there kind of talking to the entire crowd. He even had some of the crowd laughing by making some comments. But when they showed the NBA players that were there, I mean, hell, Ernie Johnson looked like he was about to cry on the air.
Yeah, he looked upset.
Barkley didn't know what to say. Kenny Smith didn't know what to say. And then they kind of, after the game, they talked to David West. David West looked like he was about to bust into tears. So, I mean, it was just really this amazing eulogy that he gave about his wife. And I just had to bring that up because I just have to say, you just have to admire the man.
Well, I mean, it's a credit to his character.
Just complete
did you see
character.
What he said?
Yeah.
He said, "This isn't just about my wife. We really have to keep our thoughts and prayers about the other person."
And that's the thing
that person
I mean,
go home.
And,
I mean, how amazing is that? I mean,
and I think that's the big thing is that until he said that, nobody thought about the other person that was in that accident.
Yeah.
Nobody thought about the other family. Nobody thought about any of that stuff. But for him to get up there and say, I'm not mad, everything's going to be okay, I'm jealous of where my wife is because I hope to be there with her. I mean, just everything that he said was just absolutely amazing.
He said, and some of the things he quotes here, he says, "Let us not forget that there were two people in the situation, that families need prayers as well. And we'll have no ill will toward that family. That family didn't wake up wanting to hurt my wife. Life is hard. It is very hard, and that was tough. But we hold no ill will toward the Donaldson family," which is the name of the lady who died also. So, I mean, she died also in that crash as well. So that's what's a crazy thing. I think it talks a lot about, Frank and I talk about this a lot as far as human nature is concerned, that I think a lot of what's missing in our world is a lack of mercy and compassion.
Yep.
Is that things happen in the world that we can't explain or why they happen, of what the reason behind them is, all of those kind of things. They just happen, Yeah, and yet we want to hold on to some kind of a hate to people for some reason or another.
Well, we want an excuse for why it happened,
right?
And it's with everything. You have the extremes like what happened to his wife, but you also have little things when you don't get that job or you don't get what you want. You look for the scapegoat for why that didn't happen, and without accepting. It just happens. It just happens, Decisions are made, and we all suffer the consequences. A lot of times, decisions aren't made by us. But that's life.
All right.
Anyways. All right, guys. We'll be back in just a bit.
Hey guys, Clay here with the Go Spurs Go Means podcast. I'm your correspondent on the street. Listen, sorry I haven't been in studio lately, but I've been busy scouring San Antonio for the last remembrance of memory about the San Antonio Spurs being in town. The rodeo road trip has taken its toll on Spurs fans. So I've come to the heart of the problem. I've come to the AT&T Center during a San Antonio stock show and rodeo performance. I'm going to find some diehard Spurs fans here that are coming to enjoy some rodeo action and ask them what they miss most about their San Antonio Spurs. I'm here with Eric. Eric is also known as the Dancing Usher, right, Eric?
Right.
You're famous.
Right, yeah.
I've seen you bust a move, Eric.
Yeah.
Now, Eric, the rodeo's happening. You're in denim. I don't think you like denim very much.
No.
No. What do you miss most about the Spurs not being here?
Playing.
But is it different? Do you feel the energy from the crowd like you do during a Spurs game?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah? So you want the Spurs fans back chanting "Go Spurs Go"?
There you go.
Now, what's your favorite song to dance to during a Spurs game?
Beyonce.
Oh, which specific Beyonce? Not the new one. Not the new Beyonce song.
No.
Which talks about hot sauce and Red Lobster. Not that one.
Who runs the world?
Girls do.
Well, yeah.
I'm a married man. I know exactly who runs the world.
Oh.
Hey, I found someone else. Hey, I'm with the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast, but I'm recording here at the rodeo.
Right.
You sell stuff. You sell beer, soda, peanuts.
Right.
You do it during Spurs games?
Yeah, I do those too.
What do you miss most about the Spurs not being here?
The Spurs not being here. I'm a huge Spurs fan, and I can't wait for them to be back here in San Antonio.
Do you sell more beer during a Spurs game or a rodeo?
It's about the same, but I love the Spurs game more than I like this. So.
For this podcast, can you give me a cold beer peanuts yell and your best yell? Ready to go.
Cold beer, peanuts, Sprite, water.
I would buy from this guy. Hey, Go Spurs Go, right, buddy?
All right, go Spurs, go.
You know, as I walk around the AT&T Center looking for someone else to interview, there's a lot of cowboy hats, there's a lot of tight pants, and there's a lot of people wearing stuff they should not be wearing. Ma'am, I can see your belly. Ma'am, I can see your belly. Oh my God. So as I passed that last group, someone yelled at me, and this is true. Someone yelled, "Beware of the rodeos." I didn't even know that was a thing. Beware of the rodeos. Oh, it sounds like we're 3 minutes away from closing curtains. Now, I just met two people. What's your name?
Karen Morgan.
And what's your name?
Karen Norton.
Oh, that's that true?
Yes.
That's really funny. Okay, listen. Now, do you miss the Spurs not being in the AT&T Center?
Absolutely, I miss the Spurs.
You have a different look on your face. Do you miss the Spurs?
I miss the Spurs, but I love the fact the only time I'm okay with the Spurs not being here is when the rodeo's here.
That makes sense. So you're okay with them being gone for like a month because you know you're gonna get them back.
Okay, they're not gone for a whole month, are they?
It's like 3.5 weeks.
Okay,
almost.
they're gone for a whole month. Yeah.
Pretty close.
I'm okay.
You're okay with it?
Rodeo's only 2 weeks, but I'll be here when they get back.
You think it's hard for them to get the smell out of here?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
You know what is hard to get out of here? LeBron James and his stench.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's been hanging around for a while.
Lingering. Hey, ladies, can you give me a Go Spurs Go?
Go, Spurs, go!
Gentlemen, I found a lot of Spurs fans here, and it looks like some people, at least one, doesn't care, but the other ones do. They miss their Spurs. They want their Spurs back. Hey, the rodeo's about to start. For the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast, this is your correspondent on the street. I am Clay. I am signing off. It's time to rodeo San Antonio, but don't forget to go Spurs, go!
Go Spurs Go Memes presents Fiesta Facts. On average, Nyosa revelers annually consume over 31,000 pounds of beef, 14,750 pounds of chicken, 9,800 pounds of sausage, 3,200 turkey legs,
It's pronounced Nyosa.
And we're back, and it's time for On the Fly. All right, today, guys, we're going to be talking Deadpool, which was the #1 movie at the box office this past week. And the reason why I kind of want to talk about Deadpool is because I've heard it's nothing but freaking hilarious, but also it broke all these freaking records. It actually made more money than Man of Steel, than some of the original Spider-Man movies. Like it really banked. It made tons of money.
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, it made $150 million this past weekend, which is absolutely crazy. But the reason why I want to talk about it is because it's a rated R movie.
Right. That's what they were saying is the more amazing thing about it all.
Yeah, it's a straight up rated R movie. I mean, there's language, there's nudity. You see Deadpool's dong in this movie.
I'm there. Yeah. Keep in mind, Ray and I haven't seen the movie. Buddy's seen it.
Yeah.
It lives up to its R rating.
Yeah, so we're not going to have spoilers here. So.
No, there's no spoilers, but it lives up to the R rating.
I mean, it's a normal story, whatever, but I mean, it is really cool. Deadpool's a fantastic character for them to put up on the big screen and stuff, but I just can't get over how much money it made being an R-rated movie because there were tons of people pissed that they can't take their kids to see this. But I did hear about...
Have you ever read the comic?
Well, I know, but a lot of people don't do that. They don't read the comic. They're just like, oh, it's a comic book movie. It's Marvel. Let's go see it. Come on, Timmy, let's go. But I also did hear a lot of people that were pissed that they took their kids to go see the movie, and they had to leave like in the first 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, it's literally
it's R-rated. I mean, come on. I mean, we all have kids. I mean, we know the system. I'm not going to take my kid to see this.
Oh hell no! I would never do that. But again, it's because of the thought that it's a comic book movie. The Marvel label's on it. It's going to be family fun. Go see it.
Because comic book means kids for some reason. Even though we've all read them and grown up, and we're the people who
and
have
comic
them
books aren't for kids. They're not. They're straight up for adults that can afford them. And
well, you read them.
I read them. Exactly. But comic books today aren't for kids. There's a lot of crazy things that happen in them. It's not just good versus bad. There's a whole lot of psychotic issues that are happening, a lot of adult issues that happen in comic books that are just not for kids.
They've come a long way. I mean, they've actually broken barriers and things like that.
Exactly.
Topics you couldn't hit back then, especially in the 80s.
And I mean, the great storylines, the artwork is fantastic. I think the artwork just gets better and better. And I mean, it's just a great way to read a story because you're not just reading the lines, but you're also reading the pictures as well, which a lot of people don't know about comic books, but that's what makes them so much fun. So what did you think, buddy? What did you think of Deadpool?
I thought it was fantastic. I really wished it was longer. That was the only thing
that's what she said.
How long is it?
It's only... Okay, geez.
Well, like 90 minutes, right?
It was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was stretching, probably. And so I was hoping to see more stuff in it, but truthfully, I was really surprised. The one thing that you can get to, and it's no spoilers, I promise, but the thing that I was really surprised about is that you could see how it wanted to go off the rails with just trying to just be dirty. Like it wanted to
wait for that director's cut.
But understand that Ryan Reynolds was the only person that I could think of, like just logically in my mind, that could have pulled that off.
But everybody said from the beginning, like if they would ever do a Deadpool movie, it needed to be Ryan Reynolds.
There's no one else, and I was trying to think, I was like, who could play that role? It's like, no, there's just no one like that has that kind of quirky, like kind of sarcasm to him.
Yeah,
he's the only one that could have pulled it off, and it kept it on the rails, like really, really well.
And the funny thing is, if you think of a lot of the roles that Ryan Reynolds has done, like if you think of like Van Wilder, if you think of Waiting. It's Deadpool, like that whole sarcasm, hilarious, kind of filthy, funny puns. That's Ryan Reynolds. I mean, and those are all his characters, and it's straight up what Deadpool is.
And just look at him; his body was built for this role.
Right.
So my wife says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so sure about that. And so, I mean, a big weekend for Deadpool. It's starting off 2016 really well because we got a shitload of amazing movies that are coming out. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do on the fly every time a big movie comes out. So the next big movie, March 25th, which is Good Friday, because Batman vs. Superman comes out. Oh, yeah. So we're going to have the greatest day ever. We're going to go see that. We're going to go play Topgolf, drink some beer, and then we will do our podcast and basically tell you what we thought of the film. and try not to give away any spoilers and stuff like that if I can get off of the high of seeing that film. But we will do that for like Captain America, Civil War. We'll do it for X-Men Apocalypse. And I know Buddy wants to see Jungle Book, so maybe we'll do it for Jungle Book too.
Oh, beautiful, yes.
I'll do it for that one, yeah.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of podcast number 26. I'd like to thank Frank and Buddy for being in studio with me. We will see you guys next week for podcast number 27. We will have a guest or two in the studio with us next week, so we're pretty excited about that. Other than that, as always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. This podcast can be heard on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and share with your friends. Appreciate all the great feedback. We will see you guys next week. And as always, go Spurs, go. Oh, yeah, and the Spurs beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
I can basically go through each meet.